Friday on TLDC. We are the Training, Learning, Development community. I'm your host today. I am Cara North, and if I haven't had the pleasure to meet you yet, welcome. Training, Learning, Development community, or TLDC. We are a professional development community for learning and development professionals. This is a very open, safe, inclusive space, and we have a Slack channel that you can get involved with, and then we also have various membership options as well. So today I'm really excited to talk about something a little bit different. There's been a lot of change, especially in the last couple of years when it comes to learning and development. And this year has been quite something, hasn't it? I'm sure that you all have seen a lot of the stuff going on as well. So I want to just take a moment and welcome all the wonderful people that are here. So Jay Hill, Brian, Kim, Jamie, Dolores, thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate it. Tom, totally forgot. Can't forget about Tom McDowell. And so today's going to be kind of a conversation about different topics in learning and development. I do not know if my voice will last the whole hour. I am, excuse me, actually just one second here. I am recovering from you know what. And so I still have this stupid cough, and I'm going to try my best to get through it today. So want you to participate. This is going to be the State of L&D and just facilitated by me. And just to let you know what the topics we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to kick it off talking a little bit about the job market. Then I'm going to pivot a little bit and talk specifically about different sectors of the industry, right? So then we're going to talk about corporate, higher education, freelancing. Then we're going to wrap it up with professional development. But this is not just about me. It's going to be about you. And I really want to hear from you. And so I am experimenting today. So thank you so much for being part of this journey. I love to get feedback on this. So I'm using a new platform today to me called Aha Slides. I used to be a ride or die with Poll Everywhere, but we have, as Gwyneth Paltrow would say, unconsciously uncoupled. So I'm trying out Aha Slides today. So if you actually look underneath the video where I'm at, there should be a button. It says participate in the discussion. So I will actually have different parts after each one of the topics where I want to hear from you. You're also obviously able to talk in the chat as well. But if you really want to get involved in the discussion, you can use the link underneath me to get involved. And so after every topic, I want to hear from you, kind of the good or the bad. You can pick either one, and then the community will vote for the ones that they like the most. And then we'll just have a lightning round to recap each part of the agenda today. So if it sounds good, let's go ahead and hop on into it. So let's talk about this job market right now. There are just, if you scroll through LinkedIn, go on Twitter, wherever you like to hang out to talk learning and development, there's a lot of different stuff going on, right? So you may see some people that's talked about layoffs, which is unfortunate. You may have seen the great resignation of people kind of leaving their roles to go do different things. And it's really kind of chaotic. So I love talking jobs. I love reading job descriptions. If you know me, I try to post learning development jobs every weekday on my LinkedIn to try to help as many people in the community help find jobs. And I'm just fascinated by just the composition of job descriptions. And please don't judge me. I know that that makes me a little bit weird. So I wanted to look at the numbers though, and really get a sense of like what is going on from a number standpoint. So I went to a couple different sources. One is the Bureau for Labor Statistics. I also went to ONET, which is a great resource, occupational data, again, US based, but then I also brought in some data from the most recent 2022 LinkedIn Workplace Learning Report. And so I just want to talk a little bit about this because one thing that I think has been difficult in the past couple of years is there has been a lot of different reports out there, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in a moment, that are just self-reported only. Now, you're like, Carol, what's wrong with self-reporting? Well, there's a couple of things wrong with self-reporting. One, I hate to say this. You ready? people lie. So there's that. And two, there's really kind of no way to verify the authenticity of it, right? So there's not really a lot of statistical tests sometimes that you can do on this self-reported data. So I really wanted to go to primary sources of data to talk a little bit about the size of the market. Okay. So from 2020, it said that we have almost 330,000 learning development jobs open. Now, again, this is from a US standpoint only. If you're not in the US, I'd love to hear your perspectives on this as well. So feel free to put them in the chat, and I'd love to see if there's any kind of differences or similarities depending on your location. Another one that I think is really interesting is the from 2020 to 2030, the market's predicted to grow at 11%. And you're like, 11%, that doesn't sound like a lot. So on average, usually job markets grow about 8% over a decade span. So here it's 11%. So as you can see, it's actually a little bit higher than expected. Now, this one was actually pretty surprising to me, because I don't know about you all, but I certainly feel like starting in 2020, it's like people actually know what we do for a living now, right? And I was like, this is our time in the sun. This is when we can be, the knights on the horses and come in and save the day, right? So it's interesting that it's 11%. Yes, it's higher than average, but just a sliver. And maybe I guess I was thinking, looking at it, that it would be bigger than that. But again, based on, again, this primary data source, that is what it is currently stating. Now, what I think is really, really fascinating is the LinkedIn Learning Report. And so the LinkedIn Learning Report, I'll dig out later and share a link so you all can go through that at your own leisure too. It's fascinating work that they've done. But what I found super interesting from that, and the stat that I kind of cherry picked, was there's a 94% increase in the demand curve. So demand curves are calculated, I believe, quarterly. So there's like quarter one, quarter two, quarter three, quarter four. So from quarter two to quarter three in 2021, so you're thinking March to June, and then June to, I believe, September, right? There was a 94% increase in the demand for jobs in learning and development. And so what I think is fascinating about that is if you think about some of the people that are transitioning into learning and development jobs, do you all know what they usually do? They're in the education system, right? And so to me, that makes sense why we're seeing that big of an increase between the quarters, because it's summer break for people that are educators. So again, just humor me. I hopefully that was helpful. I just like going in and looking at different data and stuff. So yeah, hopefully that'll give you some food for thought. Now, here is some of my different takes on it. So each one of these, I'm going to be sharing my opinion. It is an opinion. You can disagree with me. You can agree with me. I'd love actually both. So feel free to make comments, obviously, in the chat as it goes out. So I do think that there's a lot of different roles available, but with every role are a ton of applicants. So case in point, my last role, I was hiring for a learning experience designer, and I think we had over 200 applicants in maybe a day or two. Now, I'm going to teach you all kind of a hot take, a tip from LinkedIn that a lot of people don't know. So let's say you're on LinkedIn and you see a job opening and you click on it and it says over 200 applications. So one thing that I have found is that the way LinkedIn tracks that is if someone clicks on the actual job application, it doesn't necessarily reflect the number of people who applied. So some people are like, oh my gosh, I really like to work at this company. I see that there's over 200 applications. That may or may not be true. So don't let that number on LinkedIn scare you. That could be somebody just started the application. You don't really know if they finished it or not, but that's the way that LinkedIn currently tracks those applicants. But truly, as a hiring manager, I did get so many applicants for the jobs that I had open. And it was really hard just even going through the applications, the portfolios. I mean, it was just like overload. Another thing I'm seeing is kind of this dichotomy in this this fight against work from home versus the office. I think that there is going to continue to be attention around this. I had shared an article, I want to say last week, about kind of this thought of, if you live near an office, that they're telling people they need to come in the office, but yet if you don't live near the office, you don't have to. And I experienced this in my own interviewing process. There was a company I was interviewing for that said it was a remote job. And they said, "Oh, you live in Columbus. Our headquarters is in Columbus. We'd like you to come in, a couple of days a week." And I said, "Why?" I was like, because I said, "You're punishing me because I live here? Like, if it's a remote job, let me work remotely," right? So I think that is that's something to call out too, because I do think that there are a lot of people there are hybrid jobs, but I think a lot of people are still looking for remote only. So if you want to follow those, again, on LinkedIn, if you follow the hashtag HotIDjobs, I try my best to only post remote roles. I often get people asking me to publish hybrids or in office, and I try not to do it at all, because my inbox just gets inundated from people. "Well, is this a remote job?" I don't know. I'm not a recruiter. If you want to follow up with that job poster, please feel free. But I don't want to deal with it. And that's kind of selfish, but that's the way that it is sometimes. Yes, Kim, if you click the button underneath my video, it should take you to the AHA slides to get you in there. And then finally, I think a lot of the jobs I'm seeing are from cleaning up messes. So I think there was a lot of messes that happened when the pandemic hit. There's this term that I've kind of came up with called panic gaji, because I don't think it was good practice what happened during this. It was a lot of emergency remote get stuff over. I think there's still a lot of jobs around that are cleaning up some of those messes. So from where I'm sitting, that's kind of my take on the job market trends, but I want to know what you think. So Kim, perfect segue. I would like you all to go over here, and I'd love to know something good or bad that you've seen in the ID job market. So you should be able to go to this URL, or you can click the button underneath me, and it should take you there. And then you should be able to just type in a couple different entries, and we should be able to see here. And I love the fact that I can see emojis and the number of people that are on it. Or if you don't want to do this at all, that's fine. I'm happy to call out anything that you put in the chat. So something good or bad that you've seen about the ID job market. I'm leaving it up to you. Maybe I should have been more optimistic today, but I was feeling a little spicy. Yes. So access code, I don't know. You should be able to just get there by the ahaslides.com/LD2022. I believe the access code may be the LD2022, Sarah, if that helps. All right. So we have some different ones coming in here about number of applicants, company. Now realize how important the job is. Absolutely. Overly optimistic applicants applying for senior roles. Oh my goodness. I'm sure there's a story there. Companies attempting to launch education products. Yeah, that's so true. There's so many different orgs that are now thinking about their strategy for this. So absolutely. More remote opportunities. Yep. Larger variety of FTE jobs and more to choose from with contracting. Yep. I love this one. Jobs not aligning with applicant expectations. Oh my goodness, you all are killing it right now. Pay scale not consistent. Yes. Great that there's more ID jobs. Less good if the field gets saturated. I have a really hot take on that as well. I think there's a lot of people interested, but qualified candidates that can actually do the job, I still don't think that the market's saturated with that right now. I think there's a lot of people that have called themselves instructional designers, but have not put in the work to upskill, and that's a super hot take. So sorry about that. All right. The number of rounds applicants go through. Yeah, absolutely. That's a bad one. A move towards performance more than knowledge. Yep. Work from home. I know who this one is, who put this one in, the faking it does not equal making it. Yes, I cannot stand that. And again, this is another hot take that you didn't ask for, but people that have everything in their headline, that they do everything, I assume they can do nothing. I'm like, yeah, you probably can't. Hate to say that. Quality seems down, recruiter. Okay. All right, everybody get at least one in that they want. Yes, it does take such a long time. All right, so what I want to do now is I want you all to vote for your favorite one. So it's kind of like a fun little surprise here. So I'm going to go next to voting. And so you will, I want to hide them. So go ahead and take 1 minute to vote for your favorites, and then we will see what the top ones were that we all kind of agree with. So take 1 moment to do that. I should have had some music queued up or something. Let me know what your favorite summer song is right now. Type it in the chat. I'd love to know. I've been listening to a lot of Jack White. He's got a new album coming out, I believe, next week. But I went to go see him in concert earlier this year, and it was incredible. Love Jack White. All right. We got votes. All right. Wow. 33 votes. Love it. Okay. I'm going to show the results in 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. All right. Now, what I love about this is it is a mystery. So there we go. So boom. So looks like we had a 2-way tie for number 1, that companies now realize how important it is, and there's more remote. So hopefully these are both goods. We had a tie here for second place, which it says 3, but pay scale not consistent, and then a move more towards knowledge and performance. So I'd say that's a bad and a good. And then we had a lot of different, oh, you know what? It didn't show it in order. That's weird. Sorry about that. Or no, it did. I'm sorry. I can't count. So yeah, I'm liking it too, J Hill. I just want to do something different today. All right. We got through that. Let's go ahead and keep talking, shall we? Now, this one was a little bit longer to kind of get in the flow, but I do want more engagement from you all. So I want to keep the rest of them a little bit short, because I want to spend a lot of time talking about your all's thoughts, because you don't care about what I say. Hopefully, I'm just one voice, right? And so I want to hear the collective voice of all the wonderful people that are here. All right. So let's talk corporate. And if you're in corporate, what are you working on? What are you doing? And then the big question that I always love to ask is, how are you growing? So from me, again, my observations here's kind of my takes on the trends. So going back to that LinkedIn workplace learning report that I really enjoyed reading, 55% of learning and development departments are either owning or sharing ownership of DEI strategy and programming. Now, what I think is really interesting about this, and Tom is here, and Tom and I actually talked about this on his Incredible Ideas podcast, is it really learning development that should own that? I don't know. I don't have the answers to it. I think that we have a tremendous opportunity, but ultimately my main thoughts on it is, no matter what we do, the culture of an organization is the behavior that it tolerates. Now, we can put out all kinds of content around it, but if the organization isn't holding people accountable and isn't sharing what those norms of the behavior that it wants its employees to do, then it doesn't matter what we do, right? So that's kind of my hot take on it. Doing more with less. So as people are leaving, we talked a little bit about it before, about, it's longer to fill in positions. Some don't get positions filled, like they just leave and then they just cut that from the budget, and then they have to figure out the priorities. Some people get more priorities on them, and they will, not have enough resources to get things done. So it's a problem. I will be extremely transparent with you. In my last full-time role, I had to do everything. Like, I had a director title, but I was in charge of strategy. I was over the onboarding. I built all the e-learning. I was implementing a learning management system, and it burned me. It burned me to a crisp, because I couldn't do all of that well, having all those spinning plates. So I think it's a real thing in corporate right now. And then another big one, and this is certainly not a trend, I think it's something that's happened for a long time, but one of my mentors, Dr. Don Snyder, talks a lot about what does good look like. And I think that is something that as an industry we need to consider more, because a good learning development experience in one place could be a PowerPoint, whereas in another place it needs to be, scaffolded to different job levels or whatever that looks like. So it kind of depends, and I think that's why it's so difficult, especially for new people transitioning into this, to really know what this looks like. So I, just kind of want to put that out there. Kim makes up a good point here about outsourcing. I think it's could definitely be an issue. I think outsourcing is very transactional. I don't know if I'm seeing a lot of outsourcing from full-time jobs, but I am seeing a lot of organizations bring in different consulting clients for different needs. So Jay Hill's talking about how he's deep in the weeds of the variability forest. Yeah, it's so hard, isn't it? Because you do want to have that high bar of quality, but then you may have an issue with, the talent's not there to produce it yet, right? Like they can't perform at the level that you're looking at, or you don't have the times and resources to support you in that. So yeah, it's definitely an issue. All right, my take. Now I want to hear your take again. So same deal as we did before. So what is something good or bad that you've seen in corporate L&D? And Kim, you kicked us off with the outsourcing. I think that's a great topic to talk about a little bit more. Oh, I'm so sorry. Who asked about DEI? Candace, sorry. Lisa, sorry about that. Hello, Mike. Good to see you. All right. So go ahead and put in your votes about something good or bad that you've seen about corporate L&D. Love to get your thoughts here. Again, I wish I had like some background music or something, but hopefully there's a lot of typing going on. Ooh, that is a good one. That's a dynamite one to start us off. So people in other departments dictating what L&D should look like how long the courses should be. I think that's always been a problem, right? That people don't understand the nuances of the work that we do. A good that there's a lot of work out there. Yes, I think it's very scary to see people getting laid off on LinkedIn, but I do think that there are still a lot of opportunities out there. Realizations that technology doesn't fix issues, it just moves them online. Absolutely. Lack of team and expecting one person to do all the things of learning and development. Yes, I have suffered that myself. Example of the bad companies expecting IDs to do everything. Yep. Thinking anyone can do the job. That's another huge one, right? And I think that's kind of an issue with some of which I save the best for last for the spice factor. So I won't tease that out too much, but I know there's people in the audience that probably know what I want to say. One ID to do everything, overwhelming workload, manage IT managers with no ID background. You know what? That was probably the biggest realization for me when I transitioned into learning leadership was that so many, you're right, people that manage the function don't have any practitioner experience. And it made me, I think, a different manager because I could understand the nuances of it. But I also think that's why there's so many poor hiring decisions. Yeah, I said it. Okay. Increased honesty and feedback and input from employees. All right. Outsourcing. What good e-learning looks like. Yep. Leaders of the department. So same. Good partnership between L&D and HR teams. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes we work in HR departments. It kind of depends on where we sit in the business. Focused on quantity of learning versus quality. Chasing. Oh, cool. Do you see that? That's kind of cool. I'll start doing that from here on out that I can hide it. Again, working out loud, being transparent here, trying a new tool. So thank you all. All right. So I'll go ahead. These are all wonderful. Just looking at the clock, make sure we can get through everything. Let's go to vote. So I'm going to hide the votes this time, make it a little bit more spicy. So I'll give you 1 minute to vote, and then we'll see what the top ones were. So again, what is something good or bad that you've seen about corporate L&D? And again, thank you all for hanging out with me on a Friday. It's pretty cool. TLDC has been my professional home since 2017, and it's good to be back. I've been away for a while, but it's good to be back. All right. I have 26 votes. I'm going to go over in 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, here we go. Boom. All right. So top one here is people in other departments dictating what L&D should look like. Yes. Maybe we need to come up with a way that we can, I don't know, band together and figure out how to battle that, because I think that's a battle everyone has, in their organizations. Mike says that he's an ID manager and insists on working on actual projects using the tools. I love that. That is true leadership, actually, meeting people where they are and being vulnerable and working alongside them. I love it. Yes, Sarah, I agree. Create an elevator speech. That would be great. All right. Second one is thinking anyone can do the job. And then one ID to do everything, with the tie being with the ID managers with no ID background, focused on the wrong things. All right. Mike, looks like you got a taker of if you're hiring. So Mike's pretty amazing. So I think working for him would be a great opportunity. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's go over to higher education. Specifically, what I'm going to talk about here is, what does formal learning development education look like, and how are students being served? All right. So here are my takes on it. So one of the things that I've said for a very long time, and one thing I'd like to see in my lifetime, is more what I'm going to call second and third generation instructional designers. So I know that myself, and I venture to say a lot of you, accidentally fell into the work that we do. And if I had a time machine 20 years ago, when I went to undergrad, I think if I knew learning development was an option, I would have loved to have gotten a bachelor's in it. So one thing that I've seen, especially in the last year, is there are more L&D bachelor programs. So here are 3 places that are getting started. I think Northern Florida officially starts this fall, and I believe Kennesaw State does as well. Sam Houston, I don't know. I need to get an update from my friend Dr. Sean Chen over there to see how that's going. But I love the fact that there is going to be at least options at a bachelor level. It's been at the master's and doctorate level for a while, but the fact that it's being this bachelor program, that's pretty exciting. Another one is just this weird identity crisis that higher ed is. It's almost like they didn't learn anything from the pandemic. There is an influx of students that are wanting more options when it comes to their education that maybe isn't always on campus, but the administrators is wanting to bring those people back to campus because it is dollar signs, right? So there's this kind of weird little tension between that, and also with the staff of the organization as well. I'll tell you, I have a friend that still works in higher education, and she actually came over to my house last night. We were having a discussion. And what's fascinating is she is not a student-facing role. She does research, and she's a staff member. She has to get a document pre-approved, signed, before she can work from home every single time. Whereas if she was a faculty member, they don't care. She can go do whatever she wants. And that power struggle and that weirdness, I mean, that's it's going to blow up at some point. It's not going to be pretty. And I don't think that's unique to just the university my friend works at. I think that's pretty much across the board. So I mean, the staff want more flexibility and the students want more flexibility. And big one is, I still think that a lot of people that kind of got through 2020, right? So they got through, they're like, oh, this online course stuff's easy, right? You just throw a syllabus up there and put a grade book and you're good. So, students are demanding better learning experiences, right? I cannot tell you, when I worked in higher ed, how many instructors and faculty would record themselves talking for 2 hours and was like, yeah, it's mandatory, they have to watch. I was like, who's going to sit and watch you talk for so really focusing on not replicating the in-person, but thinking about how you can transform it for better learning experiences, I think is really important. All right. So again, my takes on higher education. Now I want to know yours. If you have any, I just think it's really important to talk about these three areas: corporate, higher ed, and freelancing. So, what's something good or bad that maybe you've seen from higher education, learning, and development? And again, I'm talking about formal programs. Don't worry, I'm talking about the boot camps and academies toward the end. Okay, so I know some of you are waiting for it, but the formal. Okay, ID's thinking ID is just e-learning. Yes, that's a huge one. And I'm teaching a class right now at Boise State on storyboarding and scenario development. And that has actually been one of the things I've challenged them talking about is, not everything is e-learning. You may want to do a virtual instructor led or maybe instructor led, that is out there. Students are given practice projects that are nothing like the real world. Amen. I know it, and I'm trying to help be the change I want to see in the world. And so that is why I am adjuncting at Boise State. I'd like to potentially adjunct at another university as well. But my classes, I try to make them extremely practical. We have a great textbook. We use the Ruth Clark scenario book, but I try to crosswalk to what it looks like in the workforce. But you bring up a great point, whoever put that. A lot, especially in these master's and PhD programs, they're taught by researchers who have no experience doing the work, or worse, their online courses look horrible. And it's like you're talking about best practices on how to build, but then this course is like busted like a can of biscuits. I'm not trying to, make anyone feel bad or anything here, but I'm just saying in my experience, I've seen a little bit of everything. I'm slow to adopt the variety of options. Yep, real world is a problem. Yep, the lack of trends and tools, lack of money. Yeah, I don't know any program that, well, I think there's a couple that include different technologies in it. Too much research and theory. Yeah, I agree. Lack of human design. Content dumps from SMEs. They don't collaborate. Yes, very old school. Yes, I'm with you. So these programs are coming out, but how are they applied? Okay. All right. Right. Bad habits. Okay. Awesome. All right. So let's go ahead and hop into voting. We'll hide the votes again. That was kind of fun. Thank you all. Hopefully, we're halfway through. If you're getting value out of this, let me know in the chat. If you're bored to tears, let me know in the chat. I can switch it up. Just trying something new today, different topic today. Wanted to be a little bit collaborative. I didn't want to talk at somebody for an hour. But I love hearing what you all are saying because I agree with so much of it. All right. We'll go ahead and get off this and go to the results in 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. So looks like some of the hottest topics you all agreed on, the ones with the most votes. Number 1 is higher education has a lack of real world contextualization. 2 are that students are given practice projects that are nothing like the real world. And then we had a tie for 3 about IDs thinking IDs is just e-learning, and higher education programs focus more on theories than developing skills. All right. So I got a question from Mike here in the chat about why LMSs look like the internet of circa 1996. Oh, goodness. I don't know. I think that, I don't know. There's a big name in the LMS market that is taking up a lot of the higher ed space, especially in the last 5 years. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That one's a little bit more modern, but to your point, I think that maybe it's made that way because it's easier for old school administrators to follow it. I don't know, but I agree with you. I think it should have a little bit more aesthetically pleasing interface, but then I also wonder, is it something that the universities could use? I don't know. So just my thoughts. What's up with bad LMSs? That's a good question, Sid. Jonathan Rock, who I don't know is here, had a great quotable that I made a little fake meme of about LMSs are like cafeteria food. You're never happy with what you get. So I'll just roll with that. I think that's a great analogy for it. I don't think anybody's very happy with their LMS. All right. That's fair too, Tom. Most of us are still in 1996. It was a good year. All right. So let's talk freelancing. Okay. So again, talking a little bit about where you're working, going, etc. This one's going to be a little spicy. I'm just going to warn you. So I don't know about you all, but I've seen so many opportunities that want FTEs or full time equivalents or full time employees, just a ton of different things out there that want those 40-hour work weeks. And I don't know about you all, but me, I'm not interested in taking on those projects if I don't have to. I like to have a little bit more flexibility. I like to do things more asynchronously, etc. And if I wanted to work 40 hours a week in that capacity, I'd go back to working full time. Just my 2 cents. I'm also seeing, especially in the last couple of months, wage variability, like huge wage variability. And so, where I'm getting some of these numbers from, again, jobs on LinkedIn, sometimes Indeed, but I've seen some contracts have really low wages from 20 to 30 an hour. But then I've seen some, excuse me, advertise like up to $200 an hour. And I'm like, okay. So who knows? I mean, I don't know how much that is to, kind of, I don't know, get different types of people to apply. I don't know. And I don't know if people are actually getting those numbers or if those are starting points. I don't really know, but I know like it's just really hard to find people that are willing to pay what I call the Goldilocks range of just right, right? And then this is not just a trend for this year, but I think it's a trend for anyone that freelances, is just the work on your pipeline. And so, I've now been doing freelancing full time for a month, which I know that's not a lot, but hey, there's people that are supposed thought leaders that don't even have a month of experience. Oh, there's some spice. So I'm just shocked how much of my time each week is in developing relationships, trying to take kind of I'll say a tepid contact and make them red hot to where they want to work with me. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in that as well. So those are my freelancing observations. I would love to again get your takes on that. And so of course, here we go. I want to get your thoughts. So, again, your experience, your thoughts, what's something good or bad you've seen about freelancing, learning, and development? And I'm going to do something a little bit different here. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can hide them here, and then we'll show them as they come in. So, Kate's asking the best methods for getting freelance jobs. Really, I think there's a couple different options. If you have a brand, they come to you. But if you don't have a brand, I would say partner with other consultants and freelancers and say, hey, listen, I'm looking to get started. What's some work that you have that maybe I could help with? Because I know myself right now, I have projects that there's some work. I'm just like, gosh, I don't want to. I can do it, but could really use some help with it. So I think everybody kind of has those buckets of work that they have to do, but then they would be better off like free giving it out to others if the contract allows it, of course. So all right, so we got some stuff coming in here. So obviously, good is the flexibility. Yes, it's amazing. How many freelancers are actually good IDs? I don't know if that's a good or a bad. I'll read between the lines there. Good way for first timers to get experience. Yes, Jamie, I did cover that more on the idiotic with Brent and I just forgot the general Chris from Domino's last week. So you can watch the replay of that, or if you go to my crowdcast here. So I think my crowdcast name's North hyphen 129. You can watch a recording where I did this. I did a presentation at ATD ICE around 5 tips to get you started, and it was basically there's no room left in the room. Like people got turned away. So I wanted to do it again for more visibility to help people get access to the information. So I can share that with you all. Let's see, good time to get experience. It takes a lot of time and money to start up. Yes, it does. Pay rate can be commensurate with experience. Thank you. Thanks, Jamie. That works. Hey, Tracy. Good to see you. All right. Freelancers used to be the cream of the crop. Now it's messy. I can see that. All right, so let's go ahead and go to voting because we have two more things to talk about. I want to hide the votes here, and we'll just do a speed round. Vote for your favorites. We'll do 20, 30 seconds. Again, I wish I had some cool music to play, but we'll get votes started here in just a moment. And thank you to whomever warded away the cough for me for this time. I was really concerned getting through this, but I better knock on wood. So far, so good. I'll probably get a coughing fit before the end, which I'm getting ready. Next week, I'll be in San Antonio for ATD's Core 4. I'm just praying I can get through my presentations there without coughing. We'll see. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and rock and roll. All right. Your top voteds are freelancing used to be the cream of the crop. Now it's messy. Bad, the pay rate's not commensurate with experience, and then expected work product, you get what you get. And then long-term freelancing gigs that carry the expectation you will function with a full-time employee, I'm assuming with none of those benefits. Yep. All right, awesome. Okay, so now let's talk about professional development, okay? So I love this platform. I love TLDC. I cannot tell you truly, and I'm not paid to say this, I promise, how much TLDC has helped me in my own career. I've met some of my best friends in the industry through TLDC. And so I think it's really important, whether you have a budget, whether you don't have a budget, to be doing something to continuously grow. I think so many people say they're lifelong learners, but then do a bad job of kind of keeping that going, right? So here are some of my thoughts about professional development in L&D. So I did get to go to ATD ICE, the International Conference and Expo. It's kind of weird they call it ICE, given that there's a name of a U.S. entity that doesn't have a good connotation with the word ICE. But I went to that it was May, I was going to say last month, but it's currently July. And it was in Orlando, Florida. And what's interesting is they had an online option, but, I'm seeing this kind of all or nothing approach to conferences. So while there was an online option, I don't think it gave you access to all of the different content. I don't think that it was synchronous to where, well, maybe it was that you could ask questions. I think some of the sessions were, but definitely not all. And just speaking from my own experience, I had one of my sessions that was recorded for the conference for people online. And they didn't mic me up appropriately. I think I had I was holding a mic. And so when I watched the recording, it was horrible. I sounded like Gilbert Godfrey. It was such a hot mic and it was horrible. And I'm thinking, you know what? If somebody wanted to come to my session and couldn't make it to Florida and they purchased this, I was like, I don't know. I was just not very happy with it. But I really hope that conferences in general really think about how to involve people at a distance better. I think that there's kind of this, it's all or nothing. It doesn't have to be and that's another reason why I love TLDC. I remember, I think it was 2019 specifically, we had a TLDC conference in Phoenix, Arizona. And I thought it was really great the way that everybody was incorporated. It was through, you leverage Crowdcast, you could talk to other people that were watching from a distance. And it really was, I think did a good job of giving access to all the different sessions. Were there hiccups? Of course. I think there's always going to be hiccups for that. But I just say this out loud to just say, I want it to be to where no matter if you can come or if you join online, that you're able to enjoy conferences in the entirety. That's just kind of my two thoughts about it. With that, don't know if you've seen the prices of going to conferences lately, but Mr. Jonathan Hill here, I am on a crusade to get him from England to come to DevLearn this year. I really would love for him to come, but it's expensive. I mean, if you look at the ticket prices, a lot of these different ticket prices are creeping up $2,000 just for admission to go to the conference. That doesn't count your airfare, which flights in the United States right now, absolutely bananas. I've already had my flight change 3 times for my Dublin trip. It's bananas. Hotel prices aren't getting any cheaper. If you rent a car or whatever, gas prices aren't getting any cheaper. So, whether you're flying, driving, I mean, this is all adding up. And so really, previously these like discounts that were pretty lucrative for like groups and things like it's a hefty bill, and your organization may have that money. They may not have the money. They may say, well, we'll cover part of it if you cover part of it. So it gets a little bit messy, but prices are definitely a factor, I think, in these conferences. And finally, the rise of academies and boot camps. They are everywhere. I don't think all of them are bad, but I also think that there are a lot of dangerous claims being put out there that I have tried to push and encourage people to just think critically, assess claims, ask for the receipts. And what's fascinating is I found, at least when I ask for the receipts, and that's the cool kid slang of, show me the evidence, right? I get attacked just for asking for evidence. I don't even go on the Facebook instructional design group anymore because I've been personally attacked by individuals from a certain academy. I just don't understand the viciousness of asking for evidence of different things, right? And so think about that. If somebody's getting mad when you're asking for evidence of things, what is that really telling between the lines? Maybe they don't have the evidence, and maybe they're not really given the information that they say they are. So extremely hot take. I will stop there. I could go on if you really want to poke me, but that's just my take on it. I don't think that they're all inherently bad. I think you can get some skills from them. I think that you can meet people through them, but I don't think that they guarantee you a job. I don't think they guarantee you a salary. And I don't think that a lot of them provide things that they say they do, like feedback from the leadership of the stuff. Often you're getting peer feedback, so you're getting feedback from other new people, right? So just be very careful before you give anyone your credit card number. That's all I'm saying. All right, that's it. So I want to know about you. So what are some good and bad that maybe you've seen in L&D professional development over this past year? So the good and the bad. Take your time. Love to get your thoughts. And we're actually doing really well on time. So I've timed this out pretty decently. I've been a little rusty. I haven't done a TLDC in a while. So I was kind of concerned on how everything would go. But I always forget how awesome this audience is. So again, TLDC has the best people that comes to it. I love it. Oh, that's very interesting. Thinking that working on different projects is a form of professional development. I'm so sorry that it cut that out. If I click on, okay, there we go. The amount of research and analysis that's done for a project designing is actually close. It's science. Okay. Yeah, I agree. All right. People are great resources to learn from. Not so great resources are well. All right, we'll fill that in. I think that TLDC is good. Yeah, I completely agree. Of course, I'm biased, but yeah. Lack of professional development. So I'm assuming maybe that's a budget constraint. Yep. So companies who budget for development but only allow you to watch a Udemy course. Interesting. Okay. What you find on Twitter? Yeah, I think social media is fantastic for professional development, but I just caution you to do what I say is weed your garden, right? So make sure that you're choosy on who you follow. Emphasis on research-based professional development's better. Yeah, like the thing is the LDA, the Learning Development Accelerator, Will Thalheimer and Matthew Richter kind of co-founded, and I think Clark Quinn's involved in. That's a great place to go. Too much focused on shortcuts to proficiency. I'm just going to laugh and put this on the screen and not say anything else. If you're listening to the podcast, I guess that doesn't translate well. It says unaccredited academies promising 6-figure salaries for new IDs. Yep. All right. Yep. Some of the online conferences recorded sessions and months afterwards. Yeah, and then there was another one too that I went to that they would show different sessions, but then they would unlock them at weird hours. Like I believe there was one that unlocked at like 1 a.m. or something at Eastern time. I was like, what is going on? Um, Claims that someone can improve the skills, but they need to spend the bucks to purchase the software. Okay. So much valuable for free. YouTube. All right. Yep, there are amazing people out there that, oh, I kind of want to say the word, but I'm not going to. Know their stuff and can help out. People think they're writers and rely on Grammarly. All right. Excellent. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to the vote. Kanisha, hey, good to see you, and thank you. I'm glad that you like it. Just trying something different today. I've never used this AHA slides, but I'm kind of liking it too. All right, so go ahead and vote. Then we'll see the results, and then we will close this out a little bit early on a Friday. Give you some time back in your day, unless there's anything else you all want to talk about. All right, I will stop the voting in 3, 2, 1. All right. Oh, okay. Let's see. All right, so the first one here is the working on different projects as a form of professional development. Yeah, now I will say, yeah, professional development I think is the key word here. One thing that I really credit a lot of my career trajectory to is the fact that I took on stretch assignments because I wasn't getting the challenges I needed in my full-time role. I think that can be helpful, but to the point of whomever wrote this, I think you need some guidance on that. TLDC being good, and then you can have a question that you can't locate the answer to, and there's people that will help you. So those were our top ones. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all. I agree. I think Tom's online conference is amazing as well. So I will go ahead and stop sharing. Okay. So thank you again for being part of this 2022 State of L&D facilitated by me. Some of my opinions were in there, but also wanted to highlight the opinions and work of the TLDC community. If you found today valuable, please consider signing up as a member or joining our Slack community. We'd love to have you. Feel free to also share your insights about this. I think there will be access to a recording if you did sign up. I know that this event got full, which shocked me. So thank you all. I'm humbled that so many of you would want to come hang out with me on a Friday, but I think that this will be posted on the YouTube afterwards. So if you'd be kind enough to share that with people if you found value in it. Check out AHA Slides if you want to try something new. Again, me and Paul everywhere, we broke up, but I'm liking my new boo here of AHA Slides. So feel free to check that out. And I am Cara North. Again, it's been a pleasure to spend some time with you today. Go tell someone that you love them and have a fantastic weekend. Thank you all. See ya. Bye.